Everyone is still talking about the current lawsuit against Tiffany Haddish and Aries. Several comedians and peers of the two continue to speak out and give their thoughts, including Faizon Love. In an interview with The Art of Dialogue that was shared on Monday, Love was asked how he felt about the news, and Love would say, if they had an adult playing as a kid, they would have got away with it. I think even though having an adult play a child gives off the same message, it does bring up the question if John and Jane Doe would have had a case legally. Today we have our comedy hype analysts, Capone and Pierre, calling in to give their thoughts and reactions. But first, let's take a look at this clip.
First of all, when you look at it now, it's because you got to think somebody put those kids in that position. Somebody put those kids in those position, which was weird. And that's when I go, oh, thinking as a father, like, that's fucked up. They didn't add it with a punch after it, like, you know, so and so many kids or da-da-da-da-da, like a fact to it and then stop it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if he would have had an adult playing as a kid, then he would have got away with it, I think. I don't know if the lawsuit has merit because the mother knew. I'm pretty sure they said, hey, this is what we're going to be doing. I can't see Tiffany deceiving her, going, oh, we're going to be jump roping. No, she's ain't that type of girl.
Now, Pierre, I'm going to go ahead and start with you for your reaction. Do you agree with Faison Love, you know, when he talks about if they would have replaced the kids with adults, that they probably could have gotten away with it?
Yeah, I agree totally with what he said. But then it wouldn't have the same effect either. I mean, you know, this is a heavy situation, you know, with the pedophiles. Are we saying now that, you know, we can't do anything with children anymore that are heavy subjects? Because this is a real thing. Do we keep it hidden? It wouldn't have the same effect as a grown-ass person playing, like, you know, pigtail. Hi, I'm a little kid. It wouldn't have the same effect. Would you got away with it? Sure. Once you put kids in it, it does get a little heavy. And unfortunately, there are PSAs that need to have those certain people in it. You know, kids or like handicap. You can't get a fake person that's fake handicap. Put the real people in there. You know, if you're in a wife abuse, somebody's doing a PSA about abusing wives. You can't have a man with a wig on it. Just to make sure, you know, we don't hit a woman. Make sure it's a man. We don't, you know, no, it's not a real woman. It's you know, it's just, unfortunately, it wasn't done well. And like I told Faizon, you know, and I tell you guys, you know, you can't have the pedophile win at the end. And at the end of that skit, the pedophile did not get, you know, any punishment. He should have anywhere from being killed, shot, put in jail, something. But just to get away with the boy doing it to him is really unsettling.
Capone, let me bring you in for your reaction. What are your thoughts? Do you agree with Faizon Love that if they had adults instead of kids, that they probably would have got away with it?
I think it would have probably been comical. I don't think the same effect would have happened. Then again, we haven't really heard from them on what type of effect were they trying to do. Was it trying to be a PSA, you know, to let you know that you shouldn't leave your kids with just anybody, or were they trying to be funny? And we know it wasn't funny. But at the same time, with adults, it might have been funny, but I don't think it would have gave the same message.
Absolutely. Now, I want to bring a little education into this conversation because I think, of course, a lot of people have not been on sets. I know both of you have had the opportunity to experience that. So, Pierre, I want to come to you first. When it comes to having children on set, you know, I did some research and saw that, you know, in some places, I know SAG and other fields require for the adult to be on set. So can you tell us a little bit about that process and what you kind of see when a minor is on set?
Yes. My daughter was with an agency, and they give you a list of stuff that, you know, you can and cannot do. And number one is you must be with your child all the time, in the eye shot of your child on set. And there's certain things protocol you have to have. Make sure you're away from them. You can't be in the middle. Like you're not the director of it. You can't be telling your kid what to do and all that. You got to listen to what the director says. As long as they don't put your kid in a bad situation, but you must be on set with your child all the time in an eye shot or ear shot of your child. And but we know you're talking about SAG and after. We ain't talking about Aries and Tiffany in that production. It's a little different. You know, when you put the shit.
Now, Capone, let me bring you in, Capone, because I know we talked a little bit, and you've actually saw, you know, the opposite end of that, where, you know, you've seen kids on set. So can you tell us a little bit about that experience and what that was like?
Well, they assign someone to your kid to watch. You're supposed to know what the actions are. You're supposed to know what the script is all about. Unfortunately, there are some productions that don't follow the rules of having a parent around the kid. They feel like the parent is going to make the kid uncomfortable, or he's going to, be paying attention more to the parent on if he's doing something wrong or something to that nature. So they usually assign somebody to actually watch the kid while they're filming and all of that. And the rules that Pierre is talking about does go for AFTRA, SAG and AFTRA. But there's a lot of productions that don't follow those same rules.
Absolutely, and I guess this is kind of, the outcome of those when you don't have someone that's not following the rules. But Pierre, I do want to come back to you because I know we had this conversation yesterday, and now we're expanding it just a little more. But of course, there was some comments in our comments about some of the things that you mentioned, including your main comment of saying, this was bad art, this is not real life. And I want to give you the opportunity to respond because a lot of people did respond by saying, hey, this is real life for the little boy and the little girl who actually had this experience. So I want to give the opportunity to respond to that.
First of all, it is art, okay? When artists do stuff, it is art, regardless if you like the art or not. Art is all kind of art. There's this terrible, art that's terrible about terrible subjects and so forth. Just because you don't like it does not mean it's not art or it doesn't work for you. It doesn't mean it's not art. There's a lot of stuff that's been done that I didn't like, as from an artist, and it is what it is. You accept it as art. When I think people were knowledgeable enough to know what I said, but they try to twist it around. I get it. I'm in the comments. I said it wasn't that Aries Spears was molesting that person in real life, as in really molesting the young kid. Like we found out he was molesting kids at his home somewhere. This was on set doing an imitation of a molester, but it wasn't. Now to say the boy went through, I don't know what the boy felt and all this kind of things that he was. We riding on what he's saying. I'll be glad when Tiffany and Aries get a chance to speak because we're speaking from one side only. And what the boy says, okay, if he says it's what he felt like, and we feel like we're jumping on it, okay, we'll jump on it then. Jump on it. You know what I'm saying? That's what people who don't know art and who aren't in the business understand. They just see stuff from the outside. And you're supposed to have emotions like that. You don't know how the machine works behind the scenes. And I don't know. Now the boy's saying something. He can say now, I cried when I left the set. Okay. The mother should have ran and done something right then and there. So all this 10 years, 8 years later, everybody can say what they want to say now. I'm not saying he's not telling the truth, but we can say whatever we want to 7, 8 years from that, from then. So,
Let me ask you something else, Pierre. When it comes to art, right? Because I know I've seen this in the comments as well, where a lot of people feel like, we do something and there's a lot of repercussions that come with it, but there may be other audiences or other people that do it and there's not as much limitation. How do you feel about that when it comes to the limitation of art, in our community?
I hate it. I just watched this young comedian on stage on Netflix, and he was talking about jacking off with his friends, that a kid masturbating with his friends, or 13-year-old guys in a circle masturbating. They were, it's funny. He made a pedophile joke. The crowd laughed and stuff. People, I hate to say it, they may know, but they know he's a comedian talking about funny stuff, funny experience, a crazy experience. It's okay, they don't, castrate that man on stage, but if we say something like that, we being black, I know I'm not black, whatever you want to call it, but we say something like that, it's we hold accountable for every little thing we say, that it can't be art at all. It's like, I'm just talking about my experience or a funny experience. No, if it's this, that, just like religion. White comics can talk about religion all day long and be great comedians. George Carlin, all of them, great comedians. But let a brother up there or sister say something about religion that ain't going for black folk. Oh, Lord, you gonna get striped down there now. You better not say that. The Lord gonna get you. Well, I'm doing comedy about religion. Different. Don't talk about religion around us. What? So, yeah, a lot of times they get a chance to say what they want to, and we don't get, as an artist, get to do what we want to. And that's limitation. I guess we're not free in this country.
Do you feel that, because I know, of course, comments and the internet, they talk, do you feel that when we compare ourselves to what white people are able to do, that we're setting them as the standard to different things and situations?
Yeah, they have freedom. They have all freedom. Okay, we got autonomy of freedom. They get to do what they want to do. Why can't we take back and say we want to do what we want to do? Let's do what we want to do too. Why do we have to be like, no, don't do that, don't do that? Why we gotta live like that, man? I think I'm more of a bolder person to say, I'm gonna do what they do. They get to do it, we get to do it. I'm not gonna be like, well, they get to do it, but we don't get to do it. We're gonna get judged differently. That's the problem. We bind into fearing them. What they get away with, and we can't get away with it, and we're feeling like, nah, we can't do what they do. Man, damn that. We need to take back whatever fear we have of doing stuff amongst ourselves and say, no, man, I'm gonna do what I want to do. I'm an artist. I'm a person. I get to walk the streets I want to walk on, do all that. You got to fight for that. You keep saying, no, they're gonna get us, then we under their thumb. I think it's, it's still a slavery mentality.
Right, absolutely. And just to make sure we're clear, because I know people come in our comments all the time, when we're talking about those limitations or just, white people having a lot of freedom, obviously we're not talking about, what we're seeing with Tiffany Haddish and Aries Spears, in that form of art. But I think we're just talking about limitations of art in general. Anytime we say something or do something, there's a lot of backlash that comes with it. I want to make sure we clear that up because I know people will twist words and
of course, that's what they do in the comments. It's their job to twist words.
Now, Capone, I do want to come to you. Of course, there wasn't as much slack towards you as Pierre. Pierre, they love you in the comments. But a lot of people would big you up and thank you for sharing your story. And I know we kind of touched on it yesterday, regardless of this entire situation, all the craziness that's coming with it, rightfully so. I think this is a conversation that needs to be had within our community, right? We see this a lot, as you mentioned, expressing your story, that for you as a young man who have experienced that, there wasn't this feeling of like, oh crap, something happened to me, compared to when it happens to a young woman, there's a lot more that can come with it. So I want to start with you, Capone. Do you think there's a double standard when it comes to a young man being violated versus a young woman being violated?
I think it's a double standard, yes. But I'm going to be very honest with you. If I was molested by a man, I don't think I would have enough heart to really tell that story. I think that being that it was a woman, it was almost like me kind of bragging when I was young, not knowing any better, just say, I got mine off at 10, 11 years old. That was the first time, because a lot of guys, we always ask each other, well, when's the first time you had sex? And when the first time? And, it seems like back then, the younger you were, the more you feel like you matured quicker than everybody else, when really you didn't know anything and you was being taken advantage of. And I don't know how this is going to come across, but I'm just very happy that it wasn't a man who my mother left me with.
Now, let me ask you this, Capone. What was it in your mind that triggered? Because I know you said it wasn't until your later years that it triggered in your mind, like, oh wait, I was actually violated. What was it? What was it that happened, or what was it in your mind that switched to realize that, oh wait, that wasn't something to brag about?
Well, I have a young son, and I'm very overprotective of him. I was very overprotective of my other kids, but now with everything that's going on, I get into the fierce arguments with his mother about who can watch him, and I stand stern on that, because women are just as dangerous as men, and he's a bundle full of joy. He's very cute, and you never know what's going through a person's mind. And so I look at all of that, and I look at my situation, and it's not a good thing. It wasn't good intentions on her behalf from the beginning, because she knew what she was doing.
Right.
So, yeah, it's important to me that people be aware. You had this child, try to keep your children around people that you can 100% trust. If you know your uncle's an alcoholic or your brother's an alcoholic, because, the stories that I've heard from people that I've interviewed with women being raped by their own brother, by their own father. And, they try to act like they forgot about it and all of that. But when you listen to the stories, you can't cover it up with so much.
Absolutely. No, I think you make a great point. And again, I always want to make sure I thank you for being so open and vulnerable, Capone. I know the audience has thanked you, but I want to thank you as well. Pierre, let me bring that same question to you. there seems to be a double standard, and I think there's so many layers here, but when it comes to a young man being violated as opposed to a young woman being violated, do you think there's a double standard there?
Sure, there's just so many double standards in this world we live in. Let's be real. There's so many double standards. One is, women are supposed to hold their flower as long as they can until the right man comes about. So that's why, a woman getting, molested at a young age is so traumatic, for the public, thinking more than a young man. A young man kind of reaches his manhood when he releases his situation. You know what I'm saying? So he's more cheered on, like, you did your damn, I see what you're doing and stuff. But like, again, with women, they're supposed to hold on longer for whatever society says. Reason women are supposed to not be out there sleeping with so many men, but men can sleep with a lot of women. It's always been like that. And,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think you both bring up great points. Again, I want to thank you both for chiming in on this topic. I know there's so many layers and so many things that are continuing to unfold, but we'll try to stay as updated as possible and get it back to you all. Thank you both for calling and chiming in on this topic. Before we head out, of course, I like to end with what you have coming up. I know you mentioned some things yesterday. So, Capone, I'll start with you. What do you have coming up, and how can people follow you?
Tomorrow night, I'm at the Apollo again doing amateur night. Also getting ready for, I took kind of September off a little bit to get ready for my shows in October, where I have some great big shows coming up and just different places.
Oh yeah, how can people follow you?
Comedian Capone on Instagram, and my motto, if you can't spell comedian, don't follow me.
Pierre, I'll kick it over to you. What do you have coming up, and how can people follow you?
Follow me at Comic Pierre. But this weekend, I'm doing my last of the season, my backyard barbecue cookout comedy show, where I let a lot of comedians, perform, and they'll do their act on my, it's kind of a big fellowship, and we have food and drinks, free food and drinks and so forth. So I'll be doing that again this Saturday, final one for the year. So people in my area, can come down. Also in Antioch, California, I will be there October 8th. That's up in the Bay area, and I'll be in Louisville, Kentucky on the 22nd of October. Just another keep supporting my panic room. I appreciate it. And look, let's be honest. At the end of the day, man, if I give you the energy and the excitement to get in them comments and act the fool, man, thank me for that, man. Okay, thank me for giving you the energy. Okay, you know what I'm saying? If you ain't got nothing to do today, get something to do then, So, when you get in the comments, have a good time with me, man. And then, if you put my name in first, good chance I wake up at my 2:00 p in the morning. I get up and I get online and I read the comments and I go in. So we're going to have some fun. Enjoy. I ain't going nowhere.
Thank you both for chiming in on this topic. You heard from us. Then we want to hear from you in the comments below. What are your thoughts of Faison Love speaking out about the current lawsuit against Tiffany Haddish and Aries Spears? For Comedy Hype News, I'm Tiffany Thompson.
You know where to put them at.
Do you know the comedy culture? Play Comedy Hype, the game. Out now.